Welcome to Fjook Enterprises, where we suffer technical issues daily. For instance, you may notice this video has no video. It is just a picture.
And I went through all the effort of setting up my camera.
Today's show is Conversations with Fjook. It is never scripted, highly edited, sometimes redone because of technical issues, but never scripted. Today's topic is Anthony's top 10 Star Wars movies. And joining me today is my normal co-host,
Anthony? It's my first time ever being on one of them, so I'm sure it's not me. Is it? Okay, I wasn't sure.
And special guest host,
Tim.
This whole season has been fought with technical issues. I bet the next one will be too. Anthony.
It will get better.
It's the sound quality's gotten better. That's a bonus.
Woohoo!
The last one we had horrible. The last two we've had echoing. So yeah, no echoing this time.
Just no video.
So, Anthony, why don't you go over for about the fourth or fifth time today? Why don't you go over what you did on Wednesday and Thursday?
So I took 2 days off of work and I sat through 24 hours of Star Wars before going in to see Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker. I watched the films in the canonical order, and I watched only the films that were released in North America. So I did not watch the Ewoks, and I did not watch anything else.
Did you watch the Christmas special?
No, because that wasn't released. The holiday special was not released. It has not been released. I've only seen it, I think, once or twice in my life.
I saw it when it was originally on TV, so...
You must have been young.
I see, it was what, 70 what?
80 or 79?
79, so it would have been 10.
Wait, did you see the original 3 movies in theaters?
Yes.
When they came out?
Yes. I barely remember the first one, but yes.
So, there are 12, if my math is right, there are now 12 theatrical release Star Wars movies, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
And we're gonna discuss your top 10 out of all 12 that are released. But before we do that, quickly, what are your 2 honorable mentions?
My 2 dishonorable mentions are the animated Clone Wars film that was released in 2008, which is the precursor to the Clone Wars television show, and The Last Jedi, which was that almost broke my back.
So we're going to start with the worst and work towards the best. So what is the worst Star Wars movie out of the ones that actually make the list of the top 10?
So number 10 is the second episode, Attack of the Clones. And I know for me it's just painfully written. Lucas can't write. Lucas just can't write romance. I know, as I told you this morning during one of our previous calls, if I was to try to use some of the lines from that film with my wife, she'd probably laugh at me. If I was to say, "Oh, the sand is so coarse, but your skin is so soft," she's gonna look at me, and I'll be sleeping on the couch because she'll be wondering what the hell I did.
I don't know if I'd be sleeping on the couch because she told me to, or because, well, I'd want to after she laughed at me that hard.
So, why don't you explain very briefly, in under a paragraph, hopefully, what the plot of the worst Star Wars movie that made the list is?
You probably didn't need a paragraph.
So that would be the episode where Anakin and Padme or Amidala finally consummate their relationship, get married at the end, and the Clone Army gets introduced, and Darth Tyrannus, aka Count Dooku, is introduced as a brand new villain.
A whole movie where George Lucas can't do romance. Next.
Is Solo a Han Solo or a Star Wars film or Star Wars story?
Is that what it's called? Solo?
Yeah,
Star Wars story?
I think both Rogue One and Solo have a Star Wars story after their names.
Okay, so why is it better than the previous entry?
I think that this one is watchable. I just think that there were the Han Solo trilogy, a series of books that was written that were done a lot better. The fact that if you're just watching the films, the fact that Darth Maul shows up alive would make you question what's going on. Because the last time you saw him, he got chopped in half. So the fact that you now hear that he's in charge of a crime syndicate, unless you're watching the animated Clone Wars Star Wars TV show, you're not going to understand what's going on.
And didn't they remove that as canon?
No, they left the animated Clone Wars film and series in as canon.
They removed the Michael series.
Yeah.
Clone Wars Michael series is what they removed from canon.
All right.
They named too many things the Clone Wars.
Yeah, that's true.
As I mentioned earlier, I really like the EU's version of the Clone Wars, where it's the Jedi's fighting the clones. I think that makes a much better story, but I'm not a millionaire named George Lucas.
Well, I mean, the original, if you go back and look at all this stuff, the original war was the Jedi with the clones, as the Emperor built them up to kill the Jedi.
So, what is the story of Solo? What is Solo's Star Wars story?
So this is his. So we meet a very young Han Solo, one who's in love, who loses his love, joins the Imperial, bombs out, meets Chewbacca, joins another group led by, what is his name now? I knew it this morning and I can't remember it now. But he joins a gang of other scoundrel-like individuals, meets Lando, does a few missions, succeeds? I'll put question mark at the end of that. And then the movie is done, and then so the movie finishes pretty much, and then Han wins the Millennium Falcon from Lando.
So it's like it's an after-credit scene, much like the Marvel movies, is what you're saying.
Oh no, it's before the credits. It's just the last scene. It is an afterthought.
One of the biggest pivotal moments in the Star Wars universe becomes an afterthought in the movie. I haven't seen it, so that's why I'm asking.
Yeah, the Millennium Falcon gets a droid's brain into it, and the droid, it depending on who you're reading or like looking at on the reviews for it, this droid is either somewhere between like a droid pro-rights activist and is actually doing all of the calculations in the Millennium Falcon. So even if Han was a good pilot, the Falcon's actually doing the hard work.
So basically, they made Han the hotshot pilot
into nothing.
on the computer
The smuggler.
mission.
The smuggler. Yep.
Okay.
No wonder that one.
Well, and they also make Lando fall in love. Well, he's in love with the droid.
Okay.
That becomes the CPU for the Falcon.
Okay. What's after the ruining of Han Solo?
So in 8th place, I have The Force Awakens. And it's not that this is a bad film, it's just not as enjoyable as the other ones on this list. It is our introduction to Rey. It is who is our new wide-eyed young adventurer. We have again our hotshot pilot, this time in the form of Poe. And we have
pilot.
sure. And then we get FN or Finn, who is a coward and who wants to run away from the First Order, run as far away as possible from them, as he has abandoned his post.
Yeah, I don't think any military looks that highly on people running away from the post and then fighting the military, do they, Jim?
No, they tend to call that treason.
Yes.
So, it's... You and me have differing opinions of what The Force Awakens is. I believe it's a retelling of 4, 5, 6. You believe it's a retelling of 4.
Yes. Well, I believe it draws more inspiration from 4 than any of the other.
And that's basically the plot of 7 there.
Yeah. Yes, 4 and 7. For me, this was J.J. Abrams trying to tell us that this was not going to be another prequels, that this was going to be something better, that this was his promise to us that all would be all right.
Yet all the live-action prequel films are on your list, higher up than this, and the movie that came out right after this one is not on this list.
Actually, no. As discussed after, it is now on this list, and it is pretty high on this list. The last one I have to say was after the first viewing got pretty high up on the list.
Okay.
So, no, we're at 7 right now. 7. So the 7th film on the list, which, as I've discussed earlier with you, is interchangeable with 6 in its placement for myself, is Return of the Jedi and Revenge of the Sith. Both conclusions of both trilogies. I believe that they are the weakest. Oh, actually, that's not true. I don't believe they're the weakest, but... Well, I believe that the Return of the Jedi is the weakest of the original trilogy. Revenge of the Sith is the middling of the prequels. I just feel that both of them have their flaws in their stories. They're not the strongest stories, but I really do enjoy Palpatine in Revenge of the Sith, and I do enjoy, again, Palpatine in Return of the Jedi.
So clearly, you have a favorite character.
Yes, I do, and this is probably why it influences where Rise of Skywalker ends up on this list.
So we have Rise of the Skywalker, Phantom Menace, A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, and Rogue One in the top 5.
Correct.
What is the 5th best Star Wars film?
In my opinion, the 5th would be The Phantom Menace. I know some people have some issues with it.
So some people, they stopped watching Star Wars after they saw it.
I was gonna say, how you can rank Jar Jar above the Return of the Jedi? I mean, I agree. Return of the Jedi was a weaker story, but anything with Jar Jar in it is freaking horrible.
See, I don't know. Maybe it's because I was younger when I saw Episode 1. For me, even now older, Jar Jar still doesn't bother me that much. I know Marcel says that I could be biased because I'm a political science junkie, and that is my background professionally. So maybe I enjoy the Senate more than most people. And maybe I was their target audience for that film.
If Obi-Wan had cut him in half when he popped up out of in front of him and kept running.
Yeah. But then, there were the interesting theories about Darth Jar Jar and was he really intended to be that drunken master?
He was an idiot manipulated so that the Emperor could get power.
Well, he does do that in Episode 2. He is the one who brings the bill forward to grant the Emperor emergency powers.
I just see it now. Lucas is going, I need some kind of a moron to vote the Emperor into power.
Yeah, and then, for me, it is the memorable Qui-Gon Jinn, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and Darth Maul fight.
Oh, indeed. The Metachlorians. That was the other thing that made me stop watching.
Yeah, it takes away from the mysticism of the series, and tries to make it more science-based. And as we both know, or as we all know, Star Wars is not meant to be science fiction. It is
fantasy.
Exactly.
And Spider-Man's not meant to be part of the web of life and the spider totem. which is why I gave up on reading Spider-Man.
Spider-Man to 90 something.
So,
are we on to my number 4? Is Rise of Skywalker, and I enjoyed this film. My father has been also a lifelong Star Wars fan. He's the one who introduced me to the series, and he did not enjoy the prequels. He hated 8, but he enjoyed 9. He thought that it was a good conclusion, as do I. We believe that they were good conclusions to the Skywalker saga. And we just think it's a good conclusion to the story, and regardless of the issues that were brought up by Rian Johnson, J.J. Abrams does his best to fix a lot of things. I'm not saying that he doesn't make things come out of nothing, but again, he's trying to wrap up a trilogy that has the weakest film in between it.
And apparently,
I don't understand Disney's decision to switch directors.
And apparently, they've also decided no more trilogies.
Thank God. 24 hours was long enough. Over 2 days.
They're going to do more movies. They're just not going to do any more trilogies.
Yeah. I don't know if you've watched The Mandalorian, but that's been a pretty good series. It's been pretty interesting, to say the least. I've been so bad.
I don't subscribe to, well, my wife does, to Netflix and Hulu, but I'm just like, I'm not spending all that money on all these different streaming services.
Because you end up with the same bill that you used to have with cable.
I calculated it up, and if I were to subscribe to watch everything I wanted, it's more expensive than what I used to pay for cable.
Wow.
Because I want to watch one of the Doom Patrol, so I'd have to get the whatever CBS, the one for DC, and I added it all up, and I was just like, that would be more expensive
than cable. Wow.
Yeah, and right now I'm trying to decide if I'm actually going to try to watch the Witcher series, but because I love the books and I've read all of them.
I didn't even know that it was a book series.
Yep. Actually, I played the first Witcher game, discovered they were books, stopped playing any of the games, read all the books, just finished the last one, and now I'm going back and playing The Witcher 2 and 3.
So, the question is, does Rogue One beat out the episode 4 and 5?
And the answer to that is no. So in third place is Rogue One. And yes, I know some people have issues with Rogue One because Darth Vader at the end of Rogue One knows that the plans are on the Tatooine IV with Princess Leia. For some reason in episode 4, Princess Leia plays dumb and stupid and says that she has no clue what he's talking about.
Well, he knew that she had him. That's why they take her and are interrogating her.
Yeah, like I said, I have no issues with it, but I know that that's issues with other people online. Rogue One, it's an interesting story, and as I was saying earlier in a different podcast, the characters in Rogue One are more likable than the characters introduced in the previous trilogy. In the J.J. Abrams trilogy.
So, what's number 2?
I'm curious on this one. I want to see if he's got the same as my 2.
So, let's create a brand new movie. No. So in number 2 is A New Hope, and then number 1 is Empire Strikes Back.
I agree 100%.
It was. But again, this is not static. This list might move again. I have my second screening for Rise of Skywalker tomorrow, so maybe there was something, either A, that I missed, or something that I won't like on the second viewing that might make it go down or up, or could also pull other films up or down based on, my reinterpretation on the second viewing.
So, probably get Disney Plus so I can watch it in this order. But I believe the best order to probably watch the Star Wars movies is 4, 5, 2, 3, 6, 7, 9. Does those movies tell a complete story, Anthony?
Well, like I said, any combination I think will tell a full story as long as you hit all of the original trilogy, regardless of what other films you take, it will tell a complete story. Will it may all entirely be answered? Will all the questions be answered? No. But with the 12 films that we've just gone through, answer every single question that's raised? No. As we were talking earlier, the animated Clone Wars film introduces 2 characters that are never brought up again.
And without the if you skip the animated Clone Wars, you go from Count Dooku being a villain to being executed the next time you see him.
Well, he's been introduced as a villain and then being decapitated in the very first scene. So at least the animated Clone Wars film gives you a bit of, makes him look a little more notorious.
But that is my recommendation. You watch in the machete order, but you skip episode 8. Because as you said, episode 8 doesn't add anything to the overall plot, and neither really does episode 1. It is a good movie, but it doesn't really add anything to the plot that you don't get without it.
Yeah, because even with 8, at the end of 7, they're fleeing, and then by 9, they're building themselves back up. You don't need to see the ships blow up, get blown up one by one, and you don't need to see the Resistance fail due to their own stupidity.
So that is my recommendation for Star Wars fans and how to watch the Star Wars movies.
Yeah, like I was telling you in an earlier call, I think if you're a brand new viewer to the Star Wars universe, you have to start with the original trilogy.
I think the original. I think even someone starting could watch it in 4, 5, 2, 3, 6, 7, 9.
Well, yeah, but I think watching the original trilogy gives you, it pays an homage to the past. These are the three that ignited a fan base.
They ignited
I think
a sci-fi fan base. I mean, it was those were the first the first huge sci-fi movies of that caliber.
Mm-hmm. And then if afterwards you want to put them in whatever order, you can do so. But I think just to pay homage to the impact, the cultural impact that these films have had, I think they need to be watched and viewed first by themselves.
Huh.
And I still have laser discs of them, so I can watch them in their original unmodified format.
Beautiful. I have the...
I will not say how I have the uncut.
Well, I have those too.
I have not the uncut. I have, what are they called? The despecialized.
The despecialized editions.
Yes.
I have those as well. They're on my streaming server.
I think we all have them. Although for the purposes of my viewing challenge, I use the ones that were on Disney Plus.
I saw that when Lucas first re-edited the originals, I saw those. I actually liked seeing the scene with Solo and Jabba the Hutt, because he had to cut that just because of budget constraints in the original one. That was the only reason that scene got cut. But then he went back and added more stuff to him, and I was just like, okay, you ruined it.
See, but that's where I was introduced to Star Wars. Was the 97 special edition.
When he changed the Cantina band, and they had the singing and all that stuff, I was just like...
Oh, at Jabba's Palace.
Yeah, or in Jabba's Palace, yeah. When he added all of that, I was just like, really?
See, I don't know anything other than having that guy going,
wasn't there when it came out.
I thought you were wrong about it being the first big science fiction movie, but you're right. It came out like in May, and Star Trek: The Slow Motion Picture didn't come out till December. So yes.
And it ignited. I mean, it was, if it wasn't for Star Wars, you wouldn't have had Battlestar Galactica, Buck Rogers. I mean, there were all of those shows that owed a lot to Star Wars.
You're reversed on Buck Rogers. Star Wars was paying homage to Buck Rogers. That's why you have the
the TV show, though. The TV show.
Fair enough.
That's what I was talking about. I mean, you had all these TV shows and stuff that came out after because of the popularity of Star Wars. There was like this whole sci-fi explosion, basically. Yes, Buck Rogers had been around for a lot longer. I understand that. I mean, you had the old serials that played at the beginning, in the movie theaters and stuff, but
they weren't their own standalone feature.
You guys in Canada have the disclaimers before the old Disney movies?
So while watching Star Wars, I was taken aback at some of the disclaimers I get on some of the Star Wars films.
Yeah.
They're like, this has depictions of smoking tobacco. I'm like, what? Like, when in Return of the Jedi, I'm like, Jabba smoking on the hookah, a depiction of cigarettes?
Wow.
Or a depiction of tobacco? I was like, what the hell is this?
We have discussed Anthony's top 10 Star Wars movies and discussed the order that I think and Anthony thinks you should watch the movies in, which are two different orders. And, comment. I don't care if you like or subscribe. Please just comment. And join us next time. I hope you guys had fun.
Have a good one.
Cheers.